There we go. Our progress report says we ended up at stage 7 this morning at paragraph page 570. Okay, and our last headwork was a taste for full stage revision. Okay, so let me scroll down and start from where we ended. A taste. Okay, here we go. And the last question was, would you like to be? Okay, here we go. Would you like to be a plainclothes policeman? Would you like to be a plainclothes policeman? Yes or no?
No,
I wouldn't
I
like
wouldn't
to
like
be
to
a
be
plainclothes
a
policeman.
plainclothes policeman.
Very good. Okay, next. Do you think life is easier when people speak plainly to each other? That is, speak openly, directly, and honestly to each other. Do you think life is easier when people speak plainly to each other? That is, speak openly, directly, and honestly to each other? Yes or no?
Yes,
I think life
I
is
think life
easier
is easier
when people speak
when
plainly
people speak
to
plainly
each other.
to each
That
other.
is, speak
That is,
openly,
speak openly,
directly, and
directly,
honestly to
and
each other.
honestly to each other.
Very good. Okay, what do you think when you what do you do when you arrive at somebody's house to pay a visit? What do you do when
Mm.
you arrive at somebody's house to pay a visit? When I arrive
When
at
I arrive
somebody's
at
house
somebody's house
to pay a visit,
to pay a visit,
I ring the
I
doorbell.
ring a doorbell.
Very good. What do we do when the telephone rings? What do we do when the telephone rings? When the telephone
When the
rings,
telephone
we
rings,
pick it up
we pick it
and
up
answer it.
and answer it.
Very good. What are the three forms of ring? What are the three forms of ring? The three
The
forms
three
of
forms of
ring are
ring
ring,
are
rang,
ring,
rang.
lang, long.
If someone rang you while you were busy talking to another person, would you answer the call? If someone rang you while you were busy talking to another person, would you answer the call? Yes or no?
No,
If someone rang
if
me
someone rang me
while I was busy
while I was busy
talking to another
talking to
person,
another
I
person,
wouldn't answer the
I
call.
wouldn't answer the call.
Very good. What number do we ring in order to call the police? What number do we ring in order to call the police? We ring
We ring
110
110
in order to
in
call the
order to
police.
call the police.
Very good. Have you ever rung someone up without realizing how late it was and accidentally woken them up? Have you ever rung someone up without realizing how late it was and accidentally woken them up? Yes or no?
Yes,
I've some uh
I've
I've
sometimes
sometimes rung
I've
someone
sometimes
up
rang some up
without realizing
without
how
realizing
late it was
how late it was
and accidentally
and accidentally
woken them up.
woken them up.
Very good. When people are married, which hand and finger do they wear their wedding rings on? When people are married, which hand and finger do they wear their wedding rings on? When people are
When
married,
people are
they
married,
wear their
they wear
wedding rings
their wedding rings
on the ring finger,
on the
finger
ring, a ring finger
on their left hand.
on their left hand.
Very good. What does the idiom round the bend mean? What does the idiom round the bend mean? The idiom
The idiom
round the bend
round the
means
bend means
mad.
mad.
Give me an example. Give me an example, please. All this work
All this
is
work
driving me
is
round the
driving
bend.
me round the bend.
Very good. What do we do when we change a question from direct into indirect speech? What do we do when we change a question from direct into indirect speech? When we change a
When we
question
changed
from
a
direct
question
into
from direct
indirect
into
speech,
indirect
we
speech,
move the verb
we move the
one
verb
step back
one step back
into the past.
into the
We
past.
use ask
We use the ask
instead of said,
instead of said,
and we do not use
and,
and
and
we do not
uh,
use
we do not
the
use
question form
the question form
or a question mark.
or question mark.
Greg, give me an example. Give me an example, please. I asked them
I asked
what
them
they wanted to drink.
what they wanted to drink.
Greg, if the question does not contain a question word, what do we use instead? If the question does not contain a question word, what do we use instead? If the question
If the
does not
question
contain
does not contain
a question word,
a question
we
a
use
question
a
word
question word. We use the word
with the word
if or whether
if or
instead.
whether instead.
Instead. Very good. One more. If the question
If the
does
question
not contain
that
does not
does not
contain
contain
a question word,
a question
We
word
use the word
with the
if
word
or
if
whether
or
instead.
whether instead.
Very good. Give me an example. Give me an example, please. He asked her
He asked her
whether she spoke
whether
English.
she spoke English.
Very good. Okay, now I will ask you some questions and I want you to tell me what I said, okay? Okay, here we go. First question. How old are you? How old are you? You asked me
You asked
how
me
old I was.
how old I was.
Very good. Do your parents speak English? Do your parents speak English? What did I say? You asked me
You asked
if
me
my parents
if my
spoke
parents
English.
spoke English.
Can you play the piano? Can you play the piano? What did I say? You asked me
You asked me
whether I could play the
whether I
piano.
can play the piano.
Very good. What do we do when we change an imperative from direct into indirect speech? What do we do when we change an imperative from direct into indirect speech? When we change
When we
an
change
imperative
an
from
imperative
direct
from
into
direct
indirect
into
speech,
indirect
we
speech,
use told.
we to do.
We use told,
We use told,
commanded, or ordered.
commanded, or ordered,
And we use
and
the
we use
infinitive
the
without
infinitive
to
with the out to
instead of the
instead of
imperative.
the imperative.
Okay, give me an example. Give me an example, please. The king commanded him
The king commanded him
to leave.
to leave.
Very good. With negative imperatives, what do we do? With negative imperatives, what do we do? With negative
With
imperatives,
negative imperative,
we put not
we put not
before the infinitive.
before the infinitive.
Give me an example. Give me an example, please. His mom told him
His mom told
not
him
to get home late.
not to get home late.
Very good. Now I will give you some orders and I want you to tell me what I said, okay? Stand up, stand up. What did I say? You told me
You
to
told
stand
me
up.
to stand up.
Don't look at your book. Don't look at your book. You ordered me
You ordered me
not to look at my
not
book.
to look at
My book.
my book. My
Very good.
book.
Correct your dictations. Correct your dictations. You told me
You told
to
me
correct my
the
dictations.
correct dictations.
To correct my dictations. Homer,
Uh,
you told me
you told me
to correct
correct
to
my
correct my
dictation.
dictations.
To correct my dictation.
Very good. What do we do when we change a request from direct into indirect speech? What do we do when we change a request from direct into indirect speech? When we change
When
a
we
request
changed a
from
request
direct
from
into
direct
indirect
into
speech,
indirect
we
speech,
use ask.
we use the
And we
ask,
can
and
use
we can
the
use
same
the same
constructions
construction
that we use
that we
for
use
indirect
for
questions
indirect
or
questions or
imperatives.
imperative.
Give me an example. Give me an example, please. We ask them
We ask
if
them
they could show us
if
the
they
way.
could show us or
Show us the way.
show us a way,
Or we ask
or
them
we ask
to
them
show us the way.
uh, to
To show us the way.
show us a way.
Very good. Okay, now I will make some requests and I want you to tell me what I said, okay? There we go. Could you lend me your book? Could you lend me your book, please? What did I say? You asked me
You asked
if
me
I could
if
lend
I
you my
could
book.
lend you my book,
Or you asked
or
me
you asked
to
me
lend
to
you my
lend
book.
you my book.
Very good. Would you help me with my luggage? Would you help me with my luggage, please? You asked me
You asked
if
me
I would help
if
you
I would help
with
you
your luggage.
with your my luggage,
With your luggage.
with your luggage,
Or you asked me,
or ask me
or
to,
you asked
or
me
you ask me
to help you
to help
with your
you
luggage.
with your luggage.
Very good. Will you be quiet for a moment? Will you be quiet for a moment, please? What did I say? You asked me
You ask
if
me
I would be
if
quiet
I would be quiet
for a moment.
for a moment,
Or you asked
or
me
you ask
to
me
be quiet
to be quiet
for a moment.
for a moment.
Very good. Okay, next. What's generally speaking, or what generally speaking is the difference between the words house and home? What generally speaking is the difference between the words house and home? Generally speaking,
Generally
the
speaking,
difference
the
between
difference
the
between
words house
the word
and
house
home
and
is
home
that we use
is that
house
we use a
when
house
we are
when
thinking
we are
about
thinking
a physical
about
building,
the physical building,
whereas we use
whereas
home
we use the
in
home
a more
in
abstract
a more
sense
abstract
to
sense
mean the place
to mean the
where
place
we live
where we live
or come from.
or come from,
Come from.
come from.
Very good. What time do you usually get home at the end of the day? What time do you usually get home at the end of the day? I usually get
I
home
usually get home
around
around
what time? 6 p.m., 7
7,
p.m., 7 p.m.
p.m.
at the
7
end of
p.m.
the day.
at the end of the day.
Very good. Do you think it's a good thing for boys and girls to leave home when they are teenagers? Do you think it's a good thing for boys and girls to leave home when they are teenagers? Yes or no?
Yes,
I think it's a
I
good
think
thing
it's
for
a good thing
boys and
for
girls
boys and girls
to leave home
to leave
when
home
they are
when
teenagers.
they are teenagers.
Very good. Why? Why?
Because they
They,
should be independent.
very good. What's a housewife? What's a housewife? A housewife
A
is a
housewife
woman
is a
who does not
woman
have
who
a
does
job
not have a job
outside the
uh,
home
outside the home,
but takes care
but takes
of
care
her
of
home
her home
and family instead.
and family
Instead.
instead.
Very good. What's the difference between housework and homework? What's the difference between housework and homework? The difference
The
between
difference between
housework and
housework
homework
and
is
homework
that
is that
housework is the
housework
work
is
we have to
the work
do we
do.
have to do
We we have to do
in the house,
in the
such
house,
as washing,
such as washing,
cleaning, washing up,
cleaning,
etc.
washing up, etc.
Whereas homework
Whereas
is the
homework
work a
is the work
pupil has to
a
do
pupil
at
has
home.
to do at home.
Very good. What does the idiom I couldn't care less mean? What does the idiom I couldn't care less mean? The idiom
The
I
idiom
couldn't care
I
less
couldn't care
means
less means
it is of no
it is of no
interest or importance
interest
to
or
me.
important to me.
Very good. Give me an example. Give me an example, please. He has lost her
He
job,
has lost her job,
but she says
but she says
he couldn't care less
he couldn't care less
because she can easily
because she can easily
find another.
find another.
Very good. What's the difference between he hardly works and he works hard? What's the difference between he hardly works and he works hard? The difference
The
between
difference
he
between
hardly works
he hardly
and
works
he works
and
hard
he works
is
hard
that he
is that
hardly
he
works
hardly
means
works means
that he does
that
almost
he does
no work,
almost no work,
whereas he works
whereas
hard
he works
means
hard
that he
means
works a lot.
that he works hard a lot.
Very good. If you had a car accident but your car was hardly damaged, would you get it repaired or would you just leave it? If you had a car accident but your car was hardly damaged, would you get it repaired or would you just leave it? If I had a
If
car
I had
accident
a car
but
accident
my car
but my
was
car
hardly damaged,
was hardly damaged,
I'd
I do I
re-
do I do
repaired or leave it.
repair it repair
I
it.
would get it repaired.
I would get to repair.
Very good. Why do you think people continue to smoke even when they have hardly any money? Why do you think people continue to smoke when they have hardly any money? I think people
I think people
continue to smoke
continues this
even
smoke
when they
even
have
when
hardly
they have
any
hardly
money
any money. Uh,
smoking
a-
because
any money
smoking
because smoking
is a habit
is a
which
habit
is extremely
which is extremely
difficult
uh,
to break.
dif- difficultly
Difficult to break.
difficult to break.
Reagan, has one student hardly finished answering one question before I ask another? Has one student hardly finished answering one question before I ask another? Yes. One
Yes,
student
one
has
student
hardly finished
has hardly finished
answering
answering
one
answering
question
one question
before you ask
before
another.
you ask another.
Reagan, would you say it were hardly possible for a man to live all his life without ever being ill once? Would you say it was hardly possible for a man to live all his life without ever being ill once? Yes, I'd say
Yes,
it
I
were
say
hardly
it
possible
were hardly
for a
possible
man to
for a
live
man
all
to
his
live
life
all his life
without ever
without
being
ever
ill once,
uh,
without
without
ever
without ever
being ill
being
once.
in ill once.
Very good. Okay, next. Name me a singer who's in great demand with the public these days. Name me a singer who's in great demand with the public these days, please. Singer, let's say your favorite one,
Singer,
Ariana Grande.
Ariana Grande
is a singer
is a
who's
singer
in great demand
who's in great
with
demand
the public these
with the
days.
public these days.
Very good. Where must we go to demand our rights? Where must we go to demand our rights? We must go
We
to a
must go
lawyer,
to a
to
lawyer,
the law, or to the
to
law courts,
or
or
to a law court
to demand our
to
rights.
demand our rights.
Right? What kind of jobs make great demands on one's nerves? What kind of jobs make great demands on one's nerves? The kind of
The
jobs
kind of
that
job
make great
that make
demands
great demand
on one's
was
nerves
once
are
nerve,
police officer,
a police
bus
officer,
driver,
bus
teacher,
driver, a
and
teacher,
any kind of
and
job
any kind of job
where one
where one to work
has to work
has
with the
to work
public.
with the public.
Very good. Do you think human life could continue if there was a nuclear war? Do you think human life could continue if there was a nuclear war? Yes or no?
No,
I don't think
I don't
human
think
life
human life
could continue
could continue
if there was a
if there
nuclear
was
war.
a nuclear war
Why not? Why not? Because
because uh,
what will happen? Everything will be destroyed.
everything
Will
be
be
destroyed
destroyed in a nuclear war.
in a new nuclear war.
Very good. What do we mean by a pair of earrings? What do we mean by a pair of earrings? By a pair of
By a
earrings,
pair of
we
earrings,
mean two
we
earrings
mean two
that
earrings
are the same.
that are same.
Very good. Can a bird fly with only one wing? Can a bird fly with only one wing? No. A
No,
bird can't
a
fly
bird can fly
with only
with
one wing.
only one wings.
It must have
It must
a
have
pair of wings.
a pair of wings.
Very good. Do you have any original paintings hanging up on the walls of your home? Do you have any original paintings hanging up on the walls of your home? Yes or no?
No,
I
no,
don't have
I don't
any
have
original
any
paintings
original painting
hanging up on the
hanging
walls
up on the wall
of my home.
of my home.
Very good. What do we mean by an original idea? What do we mean by an original idea? By an
By an
original
original
idea,
idea,
we mean an
we mean
idea
the idea
that nobody has
that
had
nobody had
before.
before.
Very good. What are two common types of dependent clauses? What are two common types of dependent clauses? Two common types
Two common
of
types
dependent
of
clauses
depending
are
clauses
time clauses
are time clause
and
and
conditional clauses.
conditional clauses.
Very good. Give me a sentence with the time clause in it. Give me a sentence with a time clause in it, please. I bought some wine
I bought some wine
before I went home.
before I wait.
I went
Before
home.
I went home.
After I eat breakfast,
After I eat
I
breakfast,
always brush my
I
teeth.
always brush my teeth.
Very good. Give me a sentence with a conditional clause in it. Give me a sentence with a conditional clause in it, please. I would be able
I
to
would be
fly
able to fly
if I was a bird.
if I was a bird.
If she
If
exercises
she
every day,
exercised every day,
she will get fit.
she will get fit.
Very good. Can we use future tenses in time clauses and conditional clauses? Can we use future tenses in time clauses and conditional clauses? No, we can't
No,
use
we can't
future
use
tenses
future
in
tenses
time clauses
in time
and
clauses
conditional
and
clauses.
conditional clauses.
Very good. What do we use instead? What do we use instead? We use
We use
present tenses
present
instead.
tenses instead.
Give me some examples. Give me some examples, please. He is going to
He
buy
is
a
going
house
to buy a
in the
house
countryside
in the
when she
countryside when
retires.
she retired.
They will call me tomorrow
They will call me tomorrow
if they have any
if
problem.
they have any problem.
Very good. What are you going to do after you arrive home this evening? What are you going to do after you arrive home this evening? I'm going to
I'm going I'm going to watch television
after I arrive home
after I arrive
this
home
evening.
this evening.
Very good. What's the difference between a racehorse, a horse race, and a race course? What's the difference between a racehorse, a horse race, and a race course? The difference
The
between
difference
a
between
racehorse,
a race
a
horse,
horse race,
a horse
and
race,
a race
and
course
race course
is that a
is that a
racehorse
race horse
is a
is a
horse we
horse
use for
we
racing.
use to horse racing,
A horse
and
race
horse
is
race
a race
is a
between
race
horses,
between the
and
horses,
a race course
and a race course
is a place
is a
where
place
people meet
where people
in
meet
order to race
in order
horses.
to race horses.
Are there many different races in the world? Are there many different races in the world? Yes, there are
Yes, there
many
are
different
many
races
different
in the
races
world.
in the world.
Do you think the human race will always go on living? Do you think the human race will always go on living? Yes or no?
Yes,
I think the human
I think
race
human races
will always go
will
on living.
always
Go on
is
living.
go on living.
Why? Why do you think so? Because
Uh, because
humans
because
are
uh,
survivors. Like, because humans are
because humans are
survivors.
survivors.
They're
Survivors.
survivors. Like, we survive everything. Very good. Okay, next. Give me an example of unless. Give me an example of the word unless, please. We're going to arrive
We're
late.
going to
Arrive late.
arrive late
Unless we get a taxi.
unless we unless a taxi.
One more. We're going to
We are
arrive
going
late
arrive late
unless we get
unless
a
we
taxi.
get a taxi.
What does the word unless mean? What does the word unless mean? The word
The
unless
word
means
unless means
except if.
except if except if.
Very good. Okay, do you agree it's dangerous for a young child to cross the road unless they have an adult with them? Do you agree it's dangerous for a young child to cross the road unless they have an adult with them? Yes, I
Yes,
agree. It's
I agree.
dangerous
It's
for a
dangerous
young child
for a young
to
child
cross the road
to cross a
unless
road
they have
unless they
an
have
adult with
an
them.
adult with them.
Very good. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? You're going
You
to
are
open the
going
book.
to open the book.
Open the book.
Open the book.
Very good. What does the idiom mind your own business mean? What does the idiom mind your own business mean? The idiom
The idiom
mind your own
my
business
own
means
business means
not to interfere with,
not to
interfere with,
interfere with
or ask questions
or ask a
about
question
other people's
about the
lives.
other people's lives.
Give me an example. Give me an example, please. The world
The
would be
world
a much better
would be
place
a much better place
to live in
to live
if
in
everyone
if
minded
everyone minded
their own business.
their own business.
Very good. Okay, what's the difference between to rock and to roll? What's the difference between to rock and to roll? The difference
The
between
difference
to
between
rock and to
to
roll
rock and to
is
roll
that
is that
to rock
to rock
generally means
generally
to move
moves
backwards
to move
and
backward
forwards
and forward
or from side to side,
from side to side,
whereas to roll
whereas
means
to roll
to
means
go round and
to
round
go round and around
like a ball.
like a ball.
What's a rocking chair? What's a rocking chair? A rocking chair
A rocking
is a
chair
chair
is a
that
chair
moves
that
backwards
moves backward
and
and
forwards
forwards
and is usually
and it's usually
popular with old
popular
people.
with older people.
Like, what's a rocking horse? What's a rocking horse? A rocking
A
horse
rocking
is
horse
a wooden
is a
horse
wooden horse
made for children
made for
which
children,
rocks
which
backwards
rocks
and
backward
forwards.
and forwards.
If you were walking across a park and a ball rolled your way, would you kick it back to its owner or would you pick it up and throw it back? If you were walking across a park and a ball rolled your way, would you kick it back to its owner or would you kick it back, pick it up and throw it back? If
Mhm.
I were walking
If I were walking
across a park
across a park
and a ball rolled
and the
my
ball
way,
rolled my
I'd
rolled
rolled my
my
way,
way, rolled my
I'd
way,
pick
I'd
it up and throw
pick
it
it
back.
and throw it back.
Very good. Okay, so we stop there for today, but very good. See you again tomorrow. Bye bye.